I've just topped the comfrey barrel up. Now this is ram-packed right to the very top. Normally I'll usually fill this with halfway, then I'll top it up with rainwater or whatever. But I've got that much comfrey now growing fast that I've had to put it all in there, and it's right brimming to the top. I'll still top it up with rainwater, empty the water, but first of all I want to do is compress this as best as I can. So I'm going to give it a bit of extra weight. That's compressed it down enough to get a decent volume of water in the top as well. Normally when I do my normal mix with half leaves and half water, the solution in the end, I just put the watering can in and water direct onto the plants. But because there's a lot more leaves in than normal, the concentrate will be much higher, so I'll probably be diluting this around about 3 or 4 to 1. That's it, the lid's on and it's topped up. That'll just settle down now, and once it starts to blend, you'll get the leaves and the stalks will float to the top. And that's not wasted. What I do, I'll put the garden fork in there and actually sieve that off. And I put that on top of the bean bed and use that as a top dressing. Just one final word regarding comfrey, or even consider it as a warning. The variety that most people grow in allotments is very, very rampant. It'll grow all over the place with very, very deep tap roots. In fact, on mine I've had it lift paving slabs, it's that powerful. There is, however, a variety called Bocking 14, which is a sterile version, and it doesn't multiply by seed. And I've got about 4 plants of those down the bottom, and they're just growing along nicely. Once they get big enough, I'll actually use that to look after my allotment and try and get rid of the stuff which is dotted around the site. However, as I said before, it does have a deep taproot and it can take many attempts to get rid of it. Comfrey's been around for a good while. He's actually looked at first by the Henry Doubleday Research Association, which later become what we currently know as Garden Organic, headed by Chris Collins. Well, there was a guy there who did the trialling called Lawrence Hills, and he was somewhere down in Bocking, and I think that's somewhere in Braintree, that way down that area. And he named all his trials after the Bocking, and the popular one which was successful, which could be contained, was Bocking 14. There is a version called Bocking 4, I think, but that's got a much longer taproot. It's about 10 or 12 foot it grows to or something. Anyway, if you can go in Comfrey for your allotment, be careful and try and get a Bocking 14 variety. Now we've come to the back end of August. I've started to remove some of the foliage now off all these peppers because the temperatures are going to start dropping cool. It definitely is at night, and I want to give them as much help as possible to ripen these because we've still got quite a lot of fruits on. So I'm going to thin these out and I'll bring you back and show you what fruit's on here. After a fair bit of hacking and butchery, this is the state of play we're at the moment. As you can see, I've removed quite a lot of foliage, and the idea now, I want to try and ripen these as soon as possible. There's 16 stations in here in total, and I think there's about 12 different varieties. I've doubled up on 1 or 2, but in general these have done very well in the wicking system. Very pleased. Along the way there's been 1 or 2 casualties, but not to worry. What I will do, I'll go through these again, and anything with like fruit size smaller than say a grape, I'll be actually removing that because it's not going to ripen now, and the days are getting shorter and it won't be long before the night temperatures are dropping as well. I'm just lifting some beetroot now. This is a bolt hardy. I have grown a number of varieties and I know everybody grows this, but still comes back, keeps cropping well, and I also like the flavour. The big ones we're going to be using for slicing, pickling. The smaller ones we actually use them direct on the salad. I think these will do for pickling. What I've done, I've left the smaller ones in there and we'll just take them as we need them. I've cut all the foliage down now on the containers of potatoes, and I'll leave them in the buckets until we need them basically. If the weather does turn a bit nasty, what I'll do, I'll stack them and put a cover over the top, because if you remember last year when I come to harvest at Christmas time, they'd all rotted with all the rain and the frost we did, so I will keep my eye on them this time. Anyway, this is a bucket of Charlotte. I'm just going to have a look what we got first. I'll just loosen them up. Looks quite a few in here. Giving these a quick swill under the tap, and so they're not too bad. Apologies if you can hear that buzzing in the background, but I've got some of these solar powered mould deterrents, and fingers crossed they have done the trick. I've put them out and there's no sign of any moles where there was on this run. Hopefully they've moved on to somebody else's plot. Join me in the brassica cage, and I'm just having a look around now. And I've got 3 or 4 collies, them on the border of turning, so rather than risk losing them, I'm going to chop them up. Probably have one for lunch today, and the others will actually go into the freezer. So that's the last cauliflower for this year. So a couple of them could have been picked probably last week, but there we have it. So we'll probably have one and put the rest for freezer. So the brassica bed's getting emptied gradually. Still got about 6 cabbages in, and then the Brussels sprouts. But as we clear it, I'm gradually dressing it with manure ready for next year. These beans have done really well this year. So they're called Benchmaster. Can let these go a bit on the long side, and they don't tend to go stringy either, which is what I like. I'm going to leave a few to get to seed, because I will grow these again next year. As we come to the end of August now, I've just got this glut of tomatoes appearing, and another glut. Really have cropped well. And rather than letting them stay on the plant and go to waste, to go mushy, a few I've already done that. What I'm going to do is take them in now. We're going to do a bit of processing. We'll probably can a few, but the others will be done as tomato soup and stuff like that. I'm going to actually freeze some. We've never frozen the tomatoes before. We're going to see how that happens. So I'm going to start collecting the rest of these. This is the first tray. I'll probably fill another one of these at the moment. I noticed when I was picking, there's quite a few wasps around actually going into the tomatoes. So any surplus I got, what's gone a bit squidgy in that, I'll put out on a tray, and then hopefully that'll act as a magnet. Move all the wasps over to there and leave the remaining ones to get ripe. That's about it for this one. Many thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye for now.